morning. Thanks for that, Walter and team. Picked out my favorite song. Got me crying. Well, I'm a Moffat. Yeah, I'm Bob Moffat, my wife Carol. We've been married for almost 70 years. And we've been coming to Cornerstone for the last 15, something like that. And we are happy to be part of this body. We're retired missionaries, and we've had communion, Lord's Supper, in lots of varied ways and forms and methods. Having worked with Eskimos and Indians and people in northern Siberia, everyone has their way of communion. In fact, everyone has a way of celebrating feast, getting together and eating. It's one of the most significant ways among the Indian people that we live with mostly. They had what they call a feast for the dead. And it's very intricate. In fact, it was so intricate and so unusual that the government outlawed it for Indians to do it at some time for a brief period. Because the feast for the dead, the family puts on a big feast and gives the dead person's best friends, relatives, expensive presents. I mean expensive. Parker's worth $500 or more. Fancy hunting rifles. All kinds of things like that. It's a gift for other people being supportive and a friend of their dead relative. They honor their relative that way. And so feasts are common. Suppers. Jesus said a very interesting thing one time in Revelation. He says, "Here I am, I stand at the door and knock. And if anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come in and eat with that person, and he with me." Jesus, in his wisdom, decided that a way for us to be able to celebrate him and remember him is to have the Lord's Supper. Now, as you know, you're not going to live very long on just eating what little thing you're going to get in that healthy wafer in there and that whatever juice is in there. But the feast in this instance is important. The important thing is that we stop and remember him. The supper time was not a happy time for me when I was growing up. We had a very dysfunctional family, and when we got together, everybody got a chance to air their feelings. And all of the lacks of, and most of us kids got it because we didn't do this, we didn't do that, or we didn't measure up here. And so, yeah, I hated supper. Now, some of you may have, in fact, that's one of the things that's changed most for me. I love supper with my family now. We had good family suppers when the kids were growing up. Sometimes laughed too much during prayer time. But it was a happy time, mostly. In fact, if it wasn't, those are the kinds of days that stand out as being unusual. You go through the Bible and look at the times that significant happened in Jesus' ministry is when he was eating with someone. That's just amazing. First was a wedding feast in Cana where he did his first miracle. And it was a joyous, wonderful thing. And so communion many times for us is a joyful thing, remembering the joy of being a child of God. Or Zacchaeus' house, Jesus said, Zacchaeus, he saw him up in the tree. He says, I want to go to your house and I want to eat with you. And that was a life-changing thing for Zacchaeus. He was never the same. Then a woman who washed Jesus' feet while he was eating, with her tears, wiped her tears away with her hair, because she couldn't get over how much Jesus had changed her life. Then Jesus feeding 5,000, 4,000 people. Boy, what a feast that was. All the fish and chips you could have. Fish and chip night. Jesus, you remember when he was on the road to Emmaus, his disciples, and Jesus started walking with them after the resurrection. They were all sad. They didn't know what was going on, and Jesus talked to them, tried to get them to see what the Bible said about him, really. And they asked him to stop and come in for dinner, and they didn't recognize Jesus until he broke the bread. Then they recognized who he was. So getting together in communion is a good time for us to remember Jesus and recognize who he is and what he means to us. One of the most unusual dinners was after he was raised from the dead. And he saw his disciples out fishing. He cooked the dinner. Most of the time, somebody else cooked the dinner, but Jesus had fish and bread. And when they came ashore, they ate together. And without going into detail, Peter was nervous. And Jesus knew that. And called Peter to one side and said, do you love me? And boy, Peter had a hard time with that. But said, you know all things, Lord. You know I love you. So communion can also be a time for us to tell Jesus we love him. So this is not just a routine. That's what I love about this church. Every time somebody gets up here, I get to see a different facet of community, a different view, realizing the great wisdom of God in instituting this. So let's eat together. Would the servers come and pass out the elements? Oh, excuse me. Thank you. The best friend I've ever had died this week. Well, he's 93 years old. But we served in the mission we're with, Arctic Mission, starting and now Interact. We served for 65, 66 years together, very close. We did a lot of things together. We were in leadership together and had an unusual relationship. And so it was a hard week for me. But I was reminded that there's going to be another supper. The marriage supper of the Lamb, it says in Revelation 19. And we're all going to sit, have a wedding feast together. Jesus is going to be there, and so will be my friend Gail. So will other people that have gone before, relatives. So dinner time is not done. So now let's think of your friend, Jesus, and in the process think of your friends here in church that God has given you. And let's celebrate together the wonderful gift of Jesus' gift to us. First, he took the bread and he broke it and said, "This is my body, which is broken for you." I want you to remember this. When you think about the crucifixion, remember, I died for you. In the same way, he took the cup, reminded them that it's his blood that was shed for them. And he says, "Take, eat. drink. This is my blood shed for you. Do this in my name. Lord Jesus, we are so thankful that we can eat with you. You invited us to come, let you into our lives, and you promised that you would sup with us and weep with you. Bless our lives that we may appreciate and remember and glory in the fact of what you've done for us. We pray in Jesus' name, amen.